Investigating relations between instrument and human through entanglements of sound, movement, bodily affordances, sensorial reception, and socio-musical postures. How can such an entangled relationality inform shaping micro and macro structures in improvisation and composition? How do I communicate and interact with my instrument in Sympoiesis? What could be known from our relation together? Sympoiesis is a word coined by Donna Haraway. She states, Sympoiesis means making with. Nothing makes itself. Nothing is really autopoietic or self-organizing. Sympoiesis, making with, is interlinked with becoming with, expressed effectively through a term introduced by Karen Barrett, intra-action. Intra-action suggests that entities emerge within their relationship through mutual entanglement. Agency is not something or someone has. It is about enactment. It is doing and being relationally contingent on exchange. Judith Butler states, "We don't act without being acted on. We don't generate ourselves. We are not self-created creatures. We're always moved by something, and it's only because we're moved that we act." I work with grand pianos, objects placed within it, and electroacoustic processing. I'm interested in exploring forms of collaboration with them, where they are active participants in our interactions, shaping my ideas, intentions, actions, and engagement with them. I work with various approaches, including non-fully predictable behaviors and indeterminate processes in my interaction with objects and electroacoustics. The physical qualities of the objects, the risk, potential, and imprecision involved in their behavior helps me break away from my habitual thinking and making patterns. I encounter unexpected, unplanned, or unanticipated sounds and relationships. This fragile relational field opens a heightened mode of attention, reminding me to be gentle and attentive in listening, sensing, moving, and responding. Studies in sound, movement, and sensorial entanglement are studies in listening. Listening to the minute details of sounds, listening to the sensation my body receives, listening through movement and gestures enacted in space, listening to myself listening, listening with empathy, with entrainment, curiosity, desire, guiding, letting be, surprise, risk, supporting, offering. What are the conditions to activate and cultivate a multi-layered listening and responding practice? The objects I use in my current piano setup include different shapes and sizes of neodymium magnets, different shapes and sizes of wooden and bamboo sticks, various materials and thicknesses of strings, tapes, ebows, rubbers, rosin, gaffer tape, string cleaner, balls made of wood, rubber, and stone, a cloth to rest the objects on. The specific materiality of each object, their shape and weight, invites and evokes actions, gestures, and sounds, suggesting musical ideas and structures. Getting to the core of how I think and act in symphoietic musicking means engaging with the relationships that I develop with these objects through experiences that they provide and the responses that I receive from them. Practice Journal Entry, November 9, 2024. During practice, while the stone ball buzzes on the hitch pins responding to a key pressed, I found my other hand resting on a string that receives this vibration through touch. Finding myself listening to tactile sensation as musical information. Practice Journal Entry, November 30, 2024. Sometimes it starts with a sound, sometimes a gesture, sometimes a sensorial decision. My listening continues responding to one of the different listening modes each modality has to offer. While some processes and decisions are traceable, like identifying a sound event that influenced an action, many movements are complex and elusive. What condition is required for having access into those spaces? What are those spaces made of? I explore sound energy movement continuums with motion and trajectory models to further guide and shape my relation with instruments. I work with temporal semiotic units, developed as a tool for analyzing electroacoustic music in Music and Informatics Laboratory of Marseille, and gesture archetypes, developed as an acousmatic composition tool by Annette van de Hoorn. I work with these two models that share common characteristics to guide my listening and playing. At different levels, they express forms of temporal progression and morphological qualities of sound through factors such as sound matter, duration, energy trajectory, event and phrase structure, and semiotic meanings that unfold over time. I explore the role of bodily activity and tactile kinesthetic knowledge in shaping epistemology, inviting bodily knowing in the practice. I let sensorial information as well as affordances of movements of my body in relation with the instrument influence very structural, musical, and aesthetic decisions. I'm interested in understanding how each object, each sound, movement trajectory, sensorial information shape my listening, thinking, relating, imagining, as well as aesthetic choices. These traces and stories reveal complex layers of the musicking process. Working within a complex listening responding practice asks for understanding various factors at play, such as the acoustic capacity and perception of sounds produced, the physiology and movements, as well as decoding my own perception and relation. In order to trace and understand these relations and the information they provide, I began to unpack various elements of the process, categorizing objects, playing methods, gesture and movement trajectories, sound types, sensorial responses, electroacoustic processes, creating maps, and tracing their relation with each other. I realize that this type of organization and categorization overly simplifies the complexity of the practice. However, it helps me understand and trace various decisions I make, allowing me to approach relations and the musical structures from different angles. Hannah Arendt states, "To think with an enlarged mentality means that one trains one's imagination to go visiting." I consider this practice a model for cultivating and training the mind and imagination to go visiting. It is a reflective practice for improvisation and composition that is about attending, listening, caring, and negotiating. I go visiting a variety of companions in my practice, the scholars whose theoretical postures I engage with, the piano and objects, electroacoustics, gesture and motion trajectories, the playing methods, and sensorial information. These companions guide my listening, choices, and actions as I navigate what can be known and created from our relation together. This process unfolds through an entangled sociosonic system from within the act of doing and going visiting in pursuit of sympoiesis.